Think about the last time you cleaned out a relative's attic or basement. Did you toss anything that seemed old and worthless? You might want to sit down for this one, because some of those dusty relics could have paid for a nice vacation, or even a new car. Today, we're counting down 25 household items from our grandparents' generation that collectors are paying serious money for right now. Some of these might surprise you. Vintage typewriters. The mechanical machines that produce countless letters and manuscripts are now decorative treasures. Underwood No. 5 typewriters from the 1920s, one of the most successful models ever made, sell for $150 to $400 in working condition. Colored Smith Corona portable typewriters from the 1950s bring $200 to $500, with unusual colors like pink, turquoise, or seafoam green commanding the highest prices. Royal Quiet Deluxe models from the 1940s and 1950s, reportedly favored by writers like Ernest Hemingway, sell for $300 to $600. Even non-working typewriters have decorative value and bring $50 to $200. The most valuable are early models with unusual typefaces, fancy decorative elements, or documented connections to famous writers. Vintage radios. The radios that brought news and entertainment into homes before television are now valuable collectibles. Catalin radios from the 1930s and 1940s, made from colorful plastic that looks almost like marble butterscotch, sell for $500 to $3,000. Blue Catalin radios are especially rare and valuable. Zenith wooden tombstone radios from the 1930s with their distinctive shape command $300 to $800. RCA Victor radios with Art Deco designs and styling bring $200 to $1,000. Even simple wooden cathedral-style radios from companies like Philco or Atwater Kent sell for $100 to $500. Working condition adds value, but many collectors buy radios purely for display. Novelty transistor radios from the 1950s and 1960s shaped like cars, rockets, or cartoon characters bring $50 to $500. Ornate antique mirrors. Elaborate mirrors that reflected generations of families have become valuable statement pieces. Victorian pier mirrors with carved mahogany or walnut frame sell for $500 to $3,000, depending on size and carving detail. Gilt bronze mirrors from the Empire period bring $1,000 to $5,000. Even simpler Federal-style mirrors with reverse-painted glass panels showing pastoral scenes command $300 to $2,500. Having the original mirror glass is crucial. Replacement glass can reduce value by half or more. Mirrors with interesting provenance, original backboards, and period hanging hardware bring premium prices. Gentlemen's shaving stands with attached swivel mirrors from the early 1900s sell for $200 to $800. Vintage furniture. That heavy, solid wood furniture your parent or grandparents owned has made a major comeback. We're talking about mid-century modern pieces from the 1950s and 1960s, especially anything by designers like Charles and Ray Eames, George Nelson, or Haywood Wakefield. An original Eames lounge chair and ottoman can fetch between $5,000 and $8,000, sometimes more if it's in pristine condition with original upholstery. But here's the thing, you don't need a famous designer name to strike gold. Danish teak credenzas and sideboards that sold for maybe $200 back in 1965 are now bringing $3,000 to $5,000 at auction. Look for pieces with clean lines, tapered legs, and that warm teak or walnut finish. The key is finding furniture with original labels, stamps, or documentation. That bulky dresser taking up space in the guest room might actually be worth more than you think. Oil lamps. Before Thomas Edison changed everything, families relied on oil lamps to light their homes. Those old lamps have become valuable pieces of Americana. Aladdin mantel lamps from the early 1900s, particularly those with colored glass bases or hand-painted shades, sell for $300 to $2,000. The Pittsburgh lamp, brass, and glass company made beautiful pieces with reverse-painted globes that now bring $500 to $2,500. The most valuable style is called Gone with the Wind lamps, named for the movie, which feature matching decorated bases and shades. Collectors want lamps with original kerosene burners still in place. Even miniature oil lamps, the kind that might have sat on a nightstand in a child's room, fetch $100 to $500 despite being only a few inches tall. Leather goods. Quality leather items, especially from luxury brands, have retained or increased their value dramatically. Vintage Louis Vuitton steamer trunks from the early 1900s sell for $3,000 to $20,000, depending on size, style, and condition. Coach bags from the 1960s and 1970s, before the brand went mainstream, bring $200 to $800. Even non-designer leather goods have value. Equality is there. Alligator or crocodile handbags from the 1940s and 1950s sell for $300 to $2,000. Vintage leather doctor's bags or briefcases in good condition bring $100 to $500. The key is quality construction and materials. Full-grain leather items with solid brass hardware have held up best over decades and command the highest prices today. Vintage jewelry. That costume jewelry your grandmother kept in her dresser drawer might be more valuable than you think. Yes, sign pieces from Cartier, Van Cleef & Arpels, or Tiffany bring big money. But even costume jewelry from designers like Miriam Haskell, Eisenberg, or Coro can sell for $200 to $2,000 per piece. Art Deco brooches from the 1920s and 1930s with geometric designs and colorful stones regularly bring $500 to $3,000. Victorian mourning jewelry, the somber pieces made from jetstone or even woven human hair, has become particularly collectible at $300 to $1,000 per piece. Even insigned rhinestone jewelry from the 1950s can be worth $50 to $200 if it's in good condition with all stones intact. Look for pieces with weight to them and quality construction. Cast iron cookware. Your grandmother probably had a collection of black iron skillets hanging in her kitchen, and she likely never imagined they'd become valuable antiques. Griswold Manufacturing Company, based in Erie, Pennsylvania, made some of the finest cast iron from 1865 until 1957. A standard Griswold No. 9 skillet in good condition sells for $150 to $300, but rare pieces like the No. 13 or 20 skillets have sold for over $3,000. Wagner wears another name to look for, with pieces typically bringing $100 to $500. What makes these old skillets special isn't just the name on the bottom. The older pieces were machined smooth on the cooking surface, making them lighter and better for cooking than modern cast iron. Check the bottom for maker's marks, and don't be fooled by the rough pebbled surface of newer skillets. The smooth ones are where the value is. Antique clocks. There's something timeless about a well-made clock, and collectors agree. Seth Thomas grandfather clocks from the early 1900s sell for $2,000 to $10,000, depending on the wood, case design, and movement complexity. Howard Miller clocks from the mid-20th century, especially models with Westminster chimes, bring $1,000 to $5,000. Even simpler mantel clocks from companies like Ansonia, New Haven, or Waterbury can be worth $200 to $800. The most valuable clocks have their original weights, pendulums, and movements. Don't assume a clock needs to work to have value, but working examples do command higher prices. Special features like moon phase dials, musical movements, or elaborate wood carving add significantly to the value. Vinyl records. That stack of old records gathering dust in the basement could contain some valuable albums. The Beatles' Yesterday and Today, with a recalled butcher cover, has sold for over $15,000 in good condition. Elvis Presley's first recording for Sun Records, That's All Right, can bring $5,000 to $10,000 for an original 78 revolutions per minute pressing. But you don't need rare Beatles albums to make money. Common albums in mint condition with original pressings have value. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon first pressing sells for $200 to $500. The key factors are condition and whether the first pressing. Look for specific catalog numbers and check discography websites. Record with the original shrink wrap, inserts, and posters are worth more. Advertising signs. Old advertising signs have become valuable pieces of American history. Original porcelain signs from gas stations like Texaco, Gulf, or Mobil can sell for $500 to $5,000, depending on size and graphics. Double-sided signs that hung from poles bring the highest prices. Tin signs advertising everything from Pepsi-Cola to John Deere tractors or Winchester ammunition bring $200 to $2,000. The most valuable signs have bold graphics, bright unfaded colors, and feature recognizable brands. Condition matters enormously with these. Rust, chips, bullet holes, or extra mounting holes significantly reduce value. Even cardboard signs from the 1950s and 1960s can be worth $50 to $500 if they were properly stored and avoided moisture damage. Do any of these items bring back memories from your grandparents' house? Let us know in the comments. Porcelain dolls. Those delicate dolls that sat on shelves looking pretty have become serious collector's items. Madame Alexander dolls from the 1940s and 1950s regularly sell for $500 to $2,000, with special editions like the 1953 Queen Elizabeth II coronation doll reaching over $5,000. If you find dolls marked with French or German names like Gemot, Kessner, or Armand Marseille, you might have something really valuable. These antique bisque dolls from the late 1800s and early 1900s can bring $10,000 to $20,000 if they're in excellent condition. The most important factors are original clothing, working eyes, and clear maker's marks. Even composition dolls from the 1920s and 1930s, which were made from sawdust and glue mixtures, can be worth hundreds if they still have their original paint and features intact. Silver flatware. Most people know that sterling silver has value, but they don't realize just how much a complete set of vintage flatware can bring. A full service for 12 and popular patterns from companies like Gorham, Wallace, or Reed and Barton can be worth $3,000 to $8,000. Tiffany and Company patterns, especially older ones like Chrysanthemum from the 1880s, have sold for over $30,000 for complete sets. Wallace's Grand Baroque pattern, which came out in 1941, remains incredibly popular with individual place settings selling for $400 to $600. The silver content alone gives these pieces baseline value, but collector demand for specific patterns pushes prices way beyond just a melt value. Even if you only have a few serving pieces or an incomplete set, individual items can still be worth hundreds. Check the back of each piece for hallmarks indicating sterling silver and the manufacturer. Art Deco mirrors. The roaring 20s and 30s gave us some stunning decorative pieces, and Art Deco mirrors are among the most sought after. These aren't your average bathroom mirrors. We're talking about pieces with geometric designs, etched glass, chrome, or brass frames, and sometimes that distinctive peach-tinted mirror glass. Original Art Deco mirrors can sell for anywhere from $500 to $5,000, depending on size and complexity. The real treasures are the ones with built-in lighting, or those featuring classic sunburst, fan, or step pyramid designs. French designers like René Lalique created mirrors that now sell for tens of thousands. Even in signed pieces with strong Art Deco characteristics command good prices, because modern reproductions simply can't match the materials and craftsmanship of the originals. Toys and games. The toys that survived childhood are now worth more than they cost new. Original 1959 Barbie dolls with a blonde ponytail, still in a box, have sold for over $8,000. Even played with examples bring $500 to $2,500. Tin wind-up toys from companies like Marx, Schuco, or Lehman from the 1920s through 1950s sell for $200 to $2,000, depending on the toy and condition. Original Star Wars action figures from 1977 to 1985 are extremely collectible. A mint-on-card Boba Fett can bring $2,000 to $5,000. Board games from the 1950s and 1960s with all original pieces fetch $50 to $500, with TV show tie-ins being especially valuable. Games like the 1963 Mousetrap or 1964 Operation, in complete condition, can bring several $100s. Coca-Cola memorabilia. Coca-Cola's red and white branding is iconic, and vintage Coke items are extremely collectible. Original 1950s vending machines in working condition sell for $2,000 to $5,000. Porcelain advertising signs from the 1940s and earlier can bring $500 to $3,000, depending on size, graphics, and condition. Even old bottles have value. Straight-sided bottles from before 1915 sell for $100 to $500, while hobble skirt bottles in unusual colors like amber can bring $20 to $50. Serving trays from the early 1900s featuring Gibson girls or other period artwork command $300 to $1,500. The challenge is authenticating items because reproductions flooded the market in the 1970s and 1980s. Look for natural aging and wear patterns. Vintage Pyrex. Those colorful glass casserole dishes your mom used for church potlucks have become hot collectibles. The Lucky in Love pattern from 1959, which features a set of 4 nesting bowls with hearts and clovers, can sell for $800 to $1,200. Butterfly Gold from the 1970s, probably the most common pattern you'll find, brings $100 to $300 for a complete set. The Pink Gooseberry pattern from 1957 commands $400 to $600. Even the basic primary colors in red, yellow, blue, and green sell for $50 to $150 for a nesting bowl set. Promotional pieces that were given away at grocery stores, like the Autumn Harvest Casserole, now bring $75 to $200. Condition is absolutely crucial. Chips, cracks, or dishwasher damage will tank the value. Vintage cameras. The cameras that documented family gatherings and vacations have become collectibles in their own right. Leica rangefinder cameras from the 1950s sell for $1,000 to $10,000 depending on the model and lens. Even more common brands have valuable models worth seeking out. A Nikon F from 1959, the camera that established Nikon's reputation, brings $400 to $800. Kodak Retina cameras with folding designs from the 1950s sell for $200 to $400. Large format cameras with wooden bodies and brass fittings from the early 1900s command $500 to $2,000. Collectors especially want cameras with original leather cases, instruction booklets, lens caps, and other accessories. Working condition helps value, but isn't always necessary since many collectors display cameras rather than use them. Tea sets. Elegant tea sets that once graced afternoon gatherings are now valuable antiques. Royal Worcester sets from the Victorian era, particularly those with hand-painted flowers or elaborate gold trim, sell for $500 to $3,000. Wedgwood Jasperware tea sets in colors other than the common blue, like sage green or lilac, bring $400 to $1,500. Japanese Noritake sets from the 1920s with hand-painted designs and gold accents command $300 to $1,000. Even Depression-era glass tea sets in pink or green can bring $200 to $500 for complete service. Silver-plated tea services from companies like Reed and Barton or International Silver sell for $300 to $1,500, depending on the pattern and whether you have all the pieces, including the tray, teapot, creamer, and sugar bowl. Royal Copenhagen China. This Danish company has been making fine porcelain since 1775, and vintage sets are highly prized. Complete dinner services in the blue fluted pattern from before 1950 can sell for $2,000 to $5,000. The limited edition Christmas plates they've issued every year since 1908 are collectible, with early years from 1908 to 1920 bringing $200 to $1,000 per plate. The Flora Danica pattern, featuring hand-painted botanical designs, commands the highest prices. Individual dinner plates in this pattern sell for $300 to $800. Even more common patterns from the mid-20th century have value, with complete place settings bringing $100 to $300. Royal Copenhagen figurines, especially those designed by artists like Gerhard Henning, sell for $200 to $2,000 depending on size and subject. Gold coins and paper money. Old currency tucked away in drawers or safety deposit boxes has appreciated significantly. Gold double eagle coins minted before 1933 sell for $2,000 to $5,000 based purely on gold content, with rare dates bringing much more. Morgan silver dollars from 1878 to 1921 in uncirculated condition bring $50 to $500. with key dates like the 1893, selling for several thousand. Paper money can be even more valuable than coins. Large-size bills from before 1929 sell for $100 to $1,000 for common issues. Silver certificates and bills with unusual serial numbers like solid numbers or low serial numbers command premium prices. Even modern bills with printing errors are worth hundreds to collectors who specialize in error currency. Glassware. Depression glass and other vintage glassware from the early to mid-20th century has become highly collectible. Complete sets of pink or green depression glass in popular patterns like cherry blossom or princess sell for $500 to $1,500. Fennar glass pieces, especially those in unusual colors like cobalt blue or red or with hand-painted designs, bring $50 to $500 per piece. Fire King jadeite dishes from the 1940s and 1950s command $20 to $100 per piece, with rare items like the ball jug selling for over $500. Carnival glass from companies like Northwood or Millersburg sells for $50 to $1,000, depending on pattern, color, and iridescence. Even simple milk glass pieces in good condition can be worth $10 to $50 each. Art prints and paintings. Original artwork hiding in attics occasionally makes headlines with million-dollar discoveries, but even modest pieces have value. Prints by Grandma Moses from her lifetime sell for $500 to $2,000, while her original paintings bring tens of thousands. WPA-era prints from the 1930s and 1940s, created under government arts programs during the Depression, command $200 to $2,000. Original illustrations from magazines or books, especially by known illustrators like Norman Rockwell, North Carolina Wyeth, or Maxfield Parrish, sell for $500 to $5,000. Even amateur paintings from the early 20th century can be worth $100 to $1,000 if they depict interesting subjects or document local history. Look for signatures, dates, and any documentation of the artist. Old postcards. Those penny postcards have become windows into history. Real photo postcards from the early 1900s showing small-town main streets, natural disasters, or unusual events sell for $20 to $200 each. Holiday postcards from what collectors call the Golden Age, roughly 1905 to 1915, featuring Santa Claus, witches, or Halloween imagery bring $10 to $100 depending on the artist and condition. Transportation postcards showing early automobiles, steam trains, or dirigibles command $15 to $150. Complete postcard albums can be worth $500 to $2,000. The most valuable postcards show rare historical events, feature artwork by known illustrators like Ellen Clapsaddle, or depict buildings and places that no longer exist. Vintage holiday decorations. Christmas and Halloween decorations from decades past are now year-round collectibles. German glass Christmas ornaments from before World War II sell for $20 to $200 each, with figural ornaments shaped like Santa, animals, or fruit bringing the highest prices. Blown glass ornaments by American companies like Shiny Bright from the 1940s and 1950s bring $5 to $50 each depending on shape, color, and condition. Vintage aluminum Christmas trees from the 1960s, complete with a rotating color wheel, sell for $200 to $500. Halloween decorations are particularly valuable among collectors. German die-cut decorations from the 1920s bring $50 to $500, while papier-mâché jack-o'-lanterns with original inserts sell for $100 to $1,000. Thanks for joining us as we explore these 25 valuable household items from our grandparents' generation. Which items did you recognize from your own family? Have you discovered any valuable antiques hiding in your home? Share your stories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hit that like button and share this video with friends and family who might have their own hidden treasures. And don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating looks at the collectibles and antiques that connect us to the past.